Stefano's had a big start. There's the offload. Hughes busts them straight through. Hughes over.
I like the Storm but I do worry about a 15-minute period. If there's a lapse, they'll get punished.
Welcome to a very special edition of the Code Sports NRL show. I'm Dave Riccio. With me is the Reed man, Brent Reed, and Michael Carayannis. Let's rip into it, fellas. The Rugby League's Night of Nights, the gala event of the year, the Dally M Awards has been run and won. And Roosters captain and fullback James Tedesco is a worthy winner. He won it by the length of a straight. And it was pretty difficult to manage suspense, which is what we normally get with the Dally M's, because he had this wrapped up for a long time. Thought Luke Metcalf did a good job, fellas. Had he stayed injury-free, would have been in the fight. But ultimately, Tedesco wins the 2025 Dally M Award. I think he's a worthy recipient.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever a doubt, was there, Dave? I think we all thought Teddy was going to win it. Great year he's had. Obviously a big week for him. He pulled out of the Kangaroo tour as well this week, so it would have been a lay down Mazaire to go on that Ashes tour. Teddy, spit it out, teeth back in, late night. But he's a worthy winner. Outstanding year for him. Brilliant year.
Yeah.
So he's, fantastic.
Thoughts?
Yeah, hard to argue.
You love him. You've loved him, haven't you, all year?
Well, he's a freak.
Yeah.
Right. Most consistent fullback of the season, most consistent player of the season. Deserves the award, joins a rare class to win it twice now, and at different stages of his career is what makes it even more remarkable. But great season in terms of, I thought Luke Metcalf, I was surprised how high Luke Metcalf actually finished.
Yeah.
I think he played up around 17, was probably the last time he played before he ruptured that knee, and that would have been neck and neck. No guarantee he would have won the award, but it would have been close. But it was...
Shows how significant a loss he was for the Warriors, doesn't it? The influence he had in that game,
huge.
They were basically legless and directionless once he went
It's a
down.
Mitch Barnett going too. So you can understand why they sort of fizzled out at the back end.
An NRLW player, Tamika Upton, was named the worthy award winner as far as the NRLW is concerned, and terrific player. It was a great night. However, there's a little tip around, fellas, that we could see a split in the ceremony.
Okay.
You could read about it in the column tomorrow, already.
Really?
Next
in
year.
our column? I'm not aware of this. Well, the AFL split it, don't they? But they have seasons.
As far as NRLW having their own awards night and the NRL having their own awards night.
The AFL's a bit different because their seasons are separated as well, whilst our seasons run together. But I think that'd be a good idea to separate them.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, it'd be good because it does drag out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit awkward for the players that both players are standing on stage for so long after the team of the year, and then they go through the results of who's going to claim the top gong. So I think ideally it'd be great to split it. You can spend more time celebrating the highlights of both seasons then, instead of sort of glossing over it, and it'll be a shorter night. So I'd be a fan of it.
Can I raise a concern I've come out of the ceremony with, Dave?
Yes, go for it.
So Harry Grant and Joey Tapine were ineligible for awards because they got suspended for 2 weeks. If you get two weeks or longer, you're ruled out of eligibility for awards. Captain of the year. I think for those, look, I'm happy with you say you cannot win the overall individual award if you get suspended for 2 weeks or more. But I think you should be eligible to win other awards, such as Captain of the Year. Well, Joey Tapine, for me, was probably the captain of the year.
Well, if Ricky Stewart's the coach of the year for the Canberra Raiders, you would think the leader of that team, captain Joe Tapine, would be a worthy recipient. My only catch to that is, I don't agree with you, Reed, man, because you can't have one rule over here where they're ineligible due to suspension, and over here you are eligible to win the award. And I think it has to be a black rule.
Rules. It's rugby league. You make up rules on the run, Dave.
Yeah, look, again, I would have. I think he should have been captain of the year.
So you agree with me?
But suspension cost him.
Mixed deciding vote.
I'm torn. I think you're both making
fence sitting on the fence.
Yeah, I don't know. I sort of agree that I agree with both points that you're making.
Oh my God!
I don't have a distinctive.
You've got to give the tiebreaker.
Yeah. I would have given it Joe Tapine.
There you go. So you agree with me? Good man.
Guys, this is a huge 80 minutes coming for Broncos fullback Reece Walsh for more reasons than one. Firstly, being to win this premiership with the Brisbane Broncos against the Storm would be absolutely huge. But secondly, suddenly there's an Australian jersey legitimately up for grabs for Reece Walsh to go and grab following the decision by James Tedesco to make himself ineligible.
He's on the plane, Dave. He's already on the plane.
He's there, is he?
He just needs to get through this weekend and not get injured.
So how many fullbacks are you?
I think they'll take 2 fullbacks. So I think they were going to take Teddy and Reece. I think now they'll probably take Reece and Dylan Edwards.
So you thought Dylan Edwards going to miss out?
Oh, he was
altogether?
gone. He was gonski.
Wow.
Yeah, gone.
And restarts.
Well, that's a bit I'm not sure about.
Well,
but I imagine
if
Reece
Dylan
does
wasn't
start.
going on the plane,
I imagine Reece starts, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the mail that
I've got no issue with that.
Start Reece?
I would have started Teddy,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Of course you
But, but yeah, I'd be starting Reece Walsh.
He could light up the Ashes series, Reece Walsh. You can imagine the English supporters with Reece,
Yeah.
and the way he is, and the
Imagine Reece
demeanour and the personality, the
Him
way he
combined with
plays.
Mark Nawangani-Tuase.
He could become like a cult figure over there.
Yeah, huge.
He could go global.
Yeah. Yeah. Super League style.
Yes,
Yeah,
he could go global.
Well, who would you pick at fullback, Dave?
I'm surprised you're so adamant about Dylan Edwards missing out. And I appreciate he hasn't had his best season by his standards, but he's an elite fullback who has been the champion fullback for a number of seasons now, and you just ruled him out so quickly.
I think Teddy's withdrawal has saved him.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have made the plane, Dave.
Yeah.
Just because his form has been a bit off.
Mm.
And the other guys have been
the other
so
guys have
good.
been
Yeah.
killing.
That's the other point, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, other fullbacks were struggling.
Yeah.
Teddy's arguably in career best form despite his age, and then you have Reece Walsh, who's just the pennies dropped for him in terms
And
of
Kevin's got a
consistency.
relationship with Reece from when he was at the Broncos with him, so
That's a foot in the door.
that's a foot in the door, yeah.
Well, one thing I will say is, and there's no way in the world I expect this to happen, but it's a game of rugby league, and it can happen. If Reece doesn't play very well in the GF, does that hurt him?
Yeah, it does, but I still think he's on the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which other fullback would you take?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, unless Ryan Pappenhausen maybe plays out of his skin.
I don't
but
think he's been playing well.
No.
Well, we'll get the R360 debate in a moment.
Yeah. But I think Reece is done and dusted. I think they sat down. You were there with me, Dave, when Peter Volandis announced that Teddy had withdrawn from the tour the other day, and Peter acknowledged they basically they penciled in a 23-man squad on Sunday. Peter and the national selectors. So, Reece. My understanding is Reece was in that squad.
Yep.
So he would have to do something pretty. He would have to play. In fact, he can't even play bad enough to fall out of that squad.
Wow.
The only injury rules Reece Walsh out. And I'm so looking for. I'm not going obviously, but I would love to be at Wembley.
Yeah.
If Reece Walsh is starting the number 1 jersey, to see him run out for Australia, I think it'd be something special.
Yeah, well. This is a sold-out grand final, sold out several days in advance at Accor Stadium, an interstate grand final as far as Sydney fans are concerned, between the Broncos and Storm. The two form teams have made their way to the decider. It should be an absolute beauty. Interesting styles. We've got the Melbourne Storm and their ability just to lock the game down, but also then the exciting and never say die brilliance of the Brisbane Broncos. How do you see this unfolding, fellas?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle because I think for the Storm, their big guns fired for the first time in a while altogether. But they've had these lapses, the Storm, throughout games. And if they have any of those periods of lapses, Brisbane will hurt them because they got strike everywhere. And they don't fear. Brisbane don't have this fear factor about them. They can chase points down. The only thing that if Brisbane do get in front, I don't want them to be conservative, go into their shell. They need to keep playing that attacking brand of footy. But I like the Storm but I do worry about a 15-minute period. If there's a lapse, they'll get punished.
I talk about form lines all the time, and you think about the Melbourne Storm, they've come through the Bulldogs and then the Sharks.
Yeah.
And in both games, you would argue that both Bulldogs and Sharks don't have the X factor and brilliance that the Broncos do.
Yeah.
And so therefore, to your point, and both games, the Storm needed to fight to win.
Well, you talk about the X factor, you're 100% right. You look at and who they beat on the way. Canberra have massive X factor, Kyle Weeks, and obviously Ethan Strange didn't play, but they've got some players that can turn a game like that. Penrith, we know the spark they have across the field. So they've beaten teams that have that X factor. But at the moment, Brisbane have more than anyone.
Well, I'm a Broncos man.
Yep.
Went to their first ever game in '88.
Every
But
time
what?
how many times do we have to hear that? Yes, we know. You're a Queenslander. You go from Brisbane. Yay.
What worries me is that Melbourne spine.
Yep.
Their record when all four of those guys play together is, I think they've lost one. They played together maybe 8-9 times this year, lost once. That's what worries me. Because that spine is the best spine in the game. They're all in good touch. Cam Munster's been unbelievable in the latter stage of the season. Harry's been crazy since Origin. Jerome Hughes looked like there was nothing wrong with him last week.
Yeah.
Paps is the one bloke who's been a bit down on form, but I thought he was great last week as well. So that's my concern as a Broncos man, that spine is just so good.
Yeah, I'm tipping the Storm, but I'm basing it on everything you said. Yes, the spine, but it comes down to the pack. And if Stefano Tukumanu can have a game like he did against Cronulla, that's what allowed the Melbourne Storm spine to go.
Well, he's got to aim up, Dave.
To go so well.
After his comments this week.
He's my smoky. I've tipped him for the Clive Churchill.
Really?
Yeah.
Stefano.
Yeah, right. Yeah, mate, he can. But
Good chat.
But no, that's the key. Ultimately, Cronulla's pack were brought down, and then their halves didn't look as good.
Impending doom, I told you all.
Impending doom. He was spot on. The Storm pack, led by Stefano, now he's up against Payne Haas, who he says, no, he didn't say Payne's stuck up, but he certainly said he thinks the Broncos players are stuck up.
Well, that wasn't aimed at Payne.
No, that's what I said.
Yeah.
No.
But, that's a huge clash, right? Because Payne is the unstoppable, it's the old unstoppable, what is it? The unstoppable force, immovable object coming up against each other.
Oh, jeez.
And Payne is the what's the watermark or whatever front rowers in our game at the moment.
You're telling the story.
Yeah. But Stefano's been unbelievable since Origin.
Yeah.
So good. And if he can hold his own and they could put the clamps on Payne Haas, that Melbourne spine, as I said, it's just so good.
Yeah.
So good. And they've got so many game breakers.
Yeah.
Like Brisbane, they've got Reece, right? And potentially Ezra.
Stags.
But in the spine, Melbourne have got just 4 players who can win the game of their own, basically.
Yeah.
That's the worry.
How do you think West Tigers fans are watching?
Leave him alone.
Watching Stefano. It would hurt. It would hurt.
Leave him alone.
It would hurt.
Look, there's a few former West Tigers there. Paps,
Sean
Harry
Bloor.
spent a year there.
Sure.
Sean Bloor.
He spent a year there.
Oh,
they wanted to keep him.
Oh my Lord.
Sean Bloor.
Sean Bloor, yeah.
Funny story.
Sean Bloor was the trade between Justin Nolan
Yeah, he was.
and Sean Bloor.
Can I tell you a funny Harry Grant story about the West Tigers? I spoke to his dad the other day, Paul Piggy Grant, and he was saying when Harry obviously went to the West Tigers that final year of Cam Smith's career, 2020 I think it was, and his dad said to him, "Mate, don't go back to Melbourne. You don't want to play in Cameron Smith's shadow. You want to be the bloke who follows Cameron Smith." And Harry said, "No, I want to go back to Melbourne."
Wow.
So if he listened to his dad, Harry Grant might be a West Tiger right now.
Sliding doors.
Yeah.
Boys, NRL 360, as Peter Volandis calls it. Obviously, it's R360. The impact of it and the strategy to drop this in grand final week to rain on the NRL.
Come on.
They don't know
was.
No. You reckon?
No, this was always the drop dead day.
They don't care about
They
that.
don't care about rugby league.
they
in the
wouldn't have a
NRL.
clue.
They don't care, which is why they're targeting
They wouldn't have
rugby
a
league
clue in
players.
the grand final.
They're strategising in it to rain on the NRL's parade.
Dave.
Nah,
We'll just wait till next week then.
I think the NRL grand final is irrelevant to what's going on with
Just
it.
wait till next week then.
With who? These guys? They don't
They beat to
care.
their own drum. We don't know who they are, what money they got, what broadcasting
Yeah, well,
rights
they don't care about. They don't care about the NRL.
Right. How legit is it? What's happening?
It's legit. It's happening. The story's coming out in England now about the financial backing they've got, where it's come from. It's come from private investment companies. It's legit, man. I mean, they're sent out formal long form contracts for players to sign. There's a handful of NRL players who will sign them. So it's not going to decimate the code. The worry is though that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys go now this year or next year. Sorry, at the end of next year. Other players over here see what they earn, see what they're doing, see it's maybe a success, and they want to follow that lead. That's the concern, particularly at a time when our game's going to expand. We need 60 more players for Perth and PNG. We can't afford to be losing players to rugby union.
Let's cut to the chase. Answer the questions fans want to know. When do these players need to sign by?
Well, a lot of them signed letters of commitment letters of intent.
To start the competition of
October 2 next year.
October 2 next year,
Yes.
okay?
Which doesn't include pre-season. That's when the first game.
That's the first game.
First game.
That's right. So, Zach Lomax,
Yeah.
right? If this unfolds and Zach Lomax is going there, there's no way in the world he can play for Parramatta next year.
Well, that's the decision for Parramatta.
Well, you could use
Ultimately.
could you use him for 10 games and then let him go?
Oh
No,
no, they wouldn't.
That's my point.
But they could say we're not releasing you until the end of the season.
I'm told that this competition, R360, knows that NRL players are contracted to October 31 and are happy to wait for them, let them have no pre-season and just drop into their teams when...
Maybe it's round 3 or something.
Yes, they're
Right.
happy for that to happen, apparently.
But then if you're a club and you've got a player in your books and you fall out of finals contention, you just release them, right? Because
you get cap relief.
you get cap relief.
Sure. Yeah.
You go, well, I'm not paying you after round 27.
Yeah.
If we're out of finals contention, that's what happens. 2.5 months or
Yeah.
1.5 months of pay that you save, and the player would have to forfeit that.
Well,
So clubs will do that.
Mick, the great example, the other side of it is a guy like Ryan Papenhuyzen. If Ryan Papenhuyzen goes, Melbourne have got a really tight cap. They've got a backup fullback, Suafa'alongo.
It's a win for them.
Maybe they go, perhaps if you're going to go, why don't you go now? Go to France. Spend 6 months playing rugby in France. Get yourself ready. It relieves them of, I think he's on over 900 grand, perhaps.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money off their cap.
But that's a bit different to Zach Lomax. I
Sure.
think Zach Lomax plays at Parramatta next.
You do?
You do?
I think so. Next year.
Yeah, okay.
And waits until the determination of whether the Eels make the finals before and works out when they release him.
I think so. You guys don't think he'll play at Parramatta next year?
Mick?
I would shed the money from my cap.
Yeah.
But he's not.
let him go
he's
now.
not on. He's a good
go
value
with-
signing
and-
for him.
What do you think he's on?
650. He's a good value signing for him.
Look, there's suggestions that him or people close to him have eyed off leaving straight away, going to French rugby, a bit like the suggestion I said with Paps, earning big money there and then going to R360.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah.
But this all hinges on Parramatta and whether they will let him go.
Yeah, sure.
But they've Jason Ross said that they're aware of what's happening.
Yeah, well, they've been aware for weeks.
And they would consider, they'd look at it, right?
We were talking to the Eels at the Dally M's last night. Where do they sit with it? Are they just waiting?
They're just waiting, right? They've come out and said, obviously, that Zach's told them about it. They've spoken about it, but they haven't spoken any terms. There's been no official approach for a release. It's all been very informal because of the noise that's been generated over the past couple of weeks. So they're probably anticipating a conversation, but one hasn't happened yet.
What do we anticipate around the NRL's position on this and all types of examples and suggestions being thrown around? The players will be blocked from returning to the NRL. They'll be blocked from representative football, etc.
I could cop the block from representative football. Cop the block. Is that what I said?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, had to be careful there. But you can't ban blokes for life.
Yeah,
I just think that's unrealistic.
Mm.
A guy like Ryan Papenhuyzen, he's off contract.
Yeah.
You can't stop him going. We steal rugby union players all the time.
Mm.
Look at Mark Nwangini Tuate. So players flip between the codes. But if a guy tries to break his contract, or if he's been shopped to rugby potentially when he's under contract, I think there should be repercussions for
There was
that,
a caller
yes.
on SEN that suggested that in the case of a Zach Lomax, that he must, if he was to go over for R360 for one season, he can't play at a rival NRL club until the contract of what he was on at Parramatta has expired.
Well, that'll be terms Parramatta's release, right? I think, didn't the Sharks try and do that with Valentine Holmes?
Yeah, they may have, yeah.
You know, when he went to the NFL, I think they had first rights or potential.
I think Parra had rights on Jared too, didn't they, when he went to the NFL?
So, I think that would be part of the contract release. So, well, you can't play for another NRL club.
Because when's he contract?
28.
So,
you
can't play with any other club
for another NRL club
till 29.
unless we don't want you.
Yeah.
I think the NRL's got a meeting with some of the senior club figures next week to discuss potential sanctions for players and who go and agents who are involved in this scenario. So I think we'll know a bit more next week, Dave. They want to get the grand final out of the way, and then they'll form a hard and fast stance on it.
Yeah.
If a player's off contract, I don't have an issue with them playing representative football. So it's like Mark Tuase, right? He's going to go play rugby. He gets picked for the Ashes. I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're intimating that you want to break your contract, right, you shouldn't be playing Brent footy.
Boys, outside the grand final, there's been a bit of news as far as comings and goings at other clubs, and one of those is a significant one for South Sydney, and it's Lewis Dodd has finally earned this release. Mickey, you've been all over it. What's the situation with Lewis, and how does it impact the Bunnies' cap and availability in that cap to maybe get spending?
Yeah, obviously it's been just a weird season for Lewis Dodd, right? Played 7 first grade games. I think he ended up playing for South Sydney. Started one game in his preferred spot at halfback, got hooked. So hasn't played a full game in that number 7 jersey. Out the door. They gave him permission to leave, so he'll go to Catalans. Still had 2 years left on his contract. On a 3-year deal originally, worth around $2 million. So South will have to contribute a significant amount at least next season, which will sit in their cap. So it doesn't give them a lot of space for next year, but it gives them a roster spot. So
Dave Fafita?
David Fafita, don't think that clears the money for Fafita. It clears the spot.
Depends how much the Titans are willing to tip in for Fafita.
And I think David Mawali is the one that would need to go to accommodate David Fafita.
Go to Manly.
He's obviously signed for Manly for 2027. If he fast-tracked his exit, I think that would open up the door for David Fafita.
I think that's likely, don't you?
Manly don't have the cap space.
Right.
So Manly got a few balls in the air in terms of Lockie Croker and his health concerns. If he gets medically retired or not because of concussions. They've got Josh Aloye, but I'm not sure if that money's actually cleared yet in terms of his medical retirement. He won't play again. So if those things happen, that might free up David Fafita to go to David Mawali to go to Manly and David Fafita to the South.
Another interesting one is the Lachlan Elias has been in talks with the Gold Coast
This is your baby, Dave.
Titans. Yeah, Gold Coast Titans have been having discussions with Lockie. The Dragons gave Elias the opportunity to have a look around. He is contracted to the Dragons next season, and this has it's risen probably over the last week or two.
I'd love to see him go there.
And
I
think it eventuates.
I think
it's a good result for
I think it's a
everyone.
great fit for Lockie, actually, because they need a halfback, big time. And they've got enough talent where Jaden Campbell at 6,
You got Brimson and
Keanu Kinney at 1,
Kinney.
Brimson the centres. That's a pretty damaging backline.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great move for Lockie. I think he needs to get out the Dragons. I think that's pretty clear, right?
Yeah.
I think we can all see that. So it's a good result for Lockie if it happens, I reckon.
Yeah.
Good result for Josh Hannay, your man.
He's they like the fact that because Kieran Foran's moving out of the roster obviously through retirement, and the Titans like the fact that this is an experienced half. He's played final series and right through to a prelim with South Sydney. He actually, granted it's not NRL, but he did help lead the Dragons to a grand final in New South Wales Cup. So it shows a player that still playing good enough footy.
He needs someone to back him and believe in him.
Yeah,
That's what he needs.
That's what I understand.
Yeah.
Has impressed Elias most, that the Titans are saying, hey, we're ready to back
And
him.
Foz would be great for him, Kieran Foran. Shout out for Kieran. We won the Ken Stephen medal this week.
Outstanding,
Great speech. Great man, Kieran Foran. I reckon he'd be great. He'd be great for Lockie Elias.
Yep. And he will be involved with he'll
he's
be
involved with
doing
them.
some
Yeah,
attack.
coaching role.
Yep, coaching role. So with Elias, and I expect this to unfold and happen, it will open up a roster spot for the Dragons. And they want Philip Sami.
Will they just all swap, Dave? Or?
They potentially could do a swap and alleviate some cap space on both behalf. So
What's wrong, really?
No, Philip Sami, they need.
he's a decent player.
He's a decent player,
Yeah.
but
They
the
need
Dragons
speed.
just keep
Reed.
signing
they need
decent.
speed. No,
they
need
just keep
speed, Reed.
signing decent players.
They need some speed.
They need a marquee name, a big gun.
Thanks, Scoop.
Yeah,
You don't
well-
think they don't realise that?
Where are they? Who's that, and where are they getting it from?
I don't know.
Well,
They need to find
You
someone.
just say stuff without any depth to it.
They need to find someone somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's got to be
they're
someone
not
somewhere.
finding the marquee for 26.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen for them.
Well, Phil Sami's okay.
They
Yeah.
need speed.
Yeah.
They need someone that can
What
run.
about Khan Pereira? Won't they sign
He'll
him?
go to the Warriors.
Warriors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the situation for the Dragons. To Reedy's point, I don't think they've finished shopping.
Okay.
See what happens with the Elias situation. But as far as the grand final is concerned, your final tip, fellas, how do you see it?
As I said, Dave, Broncos man. I went to their first game. Broncos by 2.
Broncos by 2.
Storm bait.
Storm by 2. Enjoy your footy.